Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Lauren here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Ashley, and she's selling her affiliate, display advertising, Amazon KDP, and Amazon Associates business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Welcome to the show, Ashley. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great. It's fantastic to have you on the show, and I'm looking forward to talking more about your business. But before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of the business. As I mentioned, this is an affiliate display advertising, Amazon KDP, and Amazon Associates business. It's in the news and education niche, and it was created in August 2016. The average monthly revenue for the business is $2,786, and it makes an average of $2,263 per month in net profit. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 55948 to learn more about the business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So speaking of assets, let's go through what assets are included in the sale. There is a primary domain and all site contents and files, 5 additional domains and all site content and files, an Amazon KDP account, an email list with 1,937 subscribers, all the business affiliate accounts, all ebook files, and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok, and Tailwind social media accounts. So now that we've gone over the overview of the business, let's hear from the seller. Ashley, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Absolutely. So this was my first blog turned business, and I began in 2016 basically as a hobby. I learned a lot as I went along through a lot of trial and error and taking every class under the sun. After about 3 years of really hard work, this one became moderately successful and majorly passive, which has allowed me to focus on other businesses and freelance work. So in the last couple of years, I've been building and launching other businesses while this one mostly runs itself.
Fantastic. And how did you come up with the idea to start this business in particular?
Well, it was a time in my life when this business particularly fit my lifestyle, and it was really hard to find the resources that I needed locally or even online at the time. So I decided to focus on this particular niche. And after a few months of kind of just hobby blogging and sharing our story, I realized that there were lots of other families out there searching for the same types of resources. And that was kind of a turning point for me where I knew I would be able to take this hobby and really turn it into a business.
Oh, fantastic. Sounds like you were able to help yourself and the community as well. So that's a double win there. How does the business primarily make money?
Currently, the majority of income is affiliate sales that come from recommendation posts and reviews. Then we have display ads. And I've set kind of all of this up to be passive streams of income with the majority of traffic coming to the site from organic search.
Fantastic. Sounds great. So you had a need for this business and you were helping other people. What are the reasons that you're selling the business now?
Well, our lifestyle has changed. So we are kind of moving on as a family. And at this point, I'd like to kind of close the door on this part and focus on new business ventures, and applying what I've learned through starting this one from scratch into, new businesses and websites. I don't know. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, it definitely is. And it sounds like you've got an exciting future ahead of you. Speaking of the future and future businesses, is there anything that you learned while building this business that you would apply to future sites that you would be working on?
Oh, absolutely. I learned all about building a website just from the ground up from scratch, as well as, how to really utilize SEO and Pinterest to generate that consistent organic traffic. And I think that's going to be my biggest takeaway from this website is really being able to create content and share what I know and get it seen by people who are also interested.
Great. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So on the flip side of the coin, I'm sure there were some things that didn't quite go as planned. Is anything that comes to mind that didn't really work out as you'd expected?
Oh, sure. There was a lot of trial and error in the beginning, especially at first when I didn't have a really good grasp of SEO. I started out with a lot of great content that just wasn't getting seen. However, after a rebrand and reworking all of that old content, I was really able to make a better connection with the audience. And that's when I really started to see the growth happen.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah, unfortunately, those are the things we realize only after we've made those mistakes.
Yes.
So you mentioned SEO and Pinterest. Where does the majority of your site's traffic come from?
Nearly half of my traffic is from organic search, followed by about a third from social media, which the majority of that is from Pinterest. The rest is a mix of email and some traffic from pingbacks and guest posts that I did a few years ago.
Great. Well, sounds like you've got quite a good diversity of traffic coming in there.
It's a mix.
Fantastic. Do you do anything currently in terms of paid marketing campaigns?
I don't do any paid advertising. So all of my marketing is organic. I pin to Pinterest and have seasonal pins set up through Tailwind to pin automatically. I share new posts to Facebook and post probably not as frequently as I should to Instagram and TikTok. And then I also email. I have just under 2,000 subscribers right now. I email them maybe 2 to 4 times a month with new and seasonal resources.
Great. Fantastic. Yeah, that email list is a powerful asset to have.
It sure is.
So, Ashley, if you were to keep the business, what are some of the major growth opportunities you've identified that you would use to try and grow it further?
I've always been focused on making my income passive. So my plan is always to create posts that'll bring traffic year after year. In the last couple of years, I've done several sponsored posts and a lot of reviews for affiliates. And I think there's a lot of earning potential there, especially if I were to reach out for some new partnerships, at this time. I also started expanding our special needs kind of sub niche in the last year. And there's definitely potential there for growth kind of beyond the main niche of the website. So I'd be looking into appropriate affiliates for that, as well as products on Amazon to recommend in blog posts.
Great. Yeah, those are some fantastic ideas. You've mentioned before that this has become quite a passive business for you. Can you walk me through the sort of work that you do for the business on a weekly basis?
Sure. I work around 3 hours a week on the site, almost never more than 5, and frequently I don't work at all, as most everything runs and kind of earns passively without a lot of work from me. My work includes writing posts from time to time, usually sponsored or affiliate focused, adding pins and pinning posts from my freelance writer, providing keywords for those posts, sending an email or a few a month, and posting to social media. And then towards the end of the year, I update one of our ebooks, which is basically a catalog of resources that highlights our affiliates, and then send those out to everybody who has purchased previously. And I also take a day or two to set up Tailwind at the end of the year to post seasonal pins. So that's pretty much my workload.
Well, that sounds great. Look, it sounds like you've got a good streamlined system going there for yourself.
Yes, it's taken a couple years to nail it down, but everything is flowing pretty well.
Fantastic. So for someone who's not familiar with this niche or the business model, like you are, as you say, you've got a couple of other sites as well. What sort of skills or requirements would you say that the new buyer of this business would need in order to run it successfully?
I think that anyone kind of with a basic knowledge of running a website would do just fine. If you have a good knowledge of marketing, which I don't, you'll probably be able to grow other parts of the business to be much more successful than I have, like the KDP and ebook sales. I do have a lot of different affiliates, so that might seem daunting at first, but the way that I have it set up, it doesn't really take much effort on my part. So I basically go in and calculate my earnings on the first of the month every month, which takes about a half an hour. So, that I would be happy to walk someone through during the first 30 days.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, you talked about walking someone through it. What sort of support are you willing to offer buyers of the business?
I would be available via email and can commit to a weekly Zoom meeting to go over the ins and outs of everything running the site for the first 30 days.
Fantastic. I'm sure buyers will be very relieved to hear all of that. In terms of the risks associated with the business, what sort of risks would you identify that buyers should be aware of going forward?
I feel like since this is a site that's mostly passive income and all organic traffic at the moment, there isn't much risk of not seeing a return. So any buyer will begin making money right off the bat on day one with no work put in at all. So I guess the real risk would be in deciding on the next steps and how to grow the business to increase ROI with, the foundation that they have to work with. But that's probably true for any business that you're purchasing.
Yeah, but it's a good point that there aren't too many risks associated with the business, which is good news for buyers. In terms of the actual sale and negotiations, are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
Sure, I would be.
Fantastic. And would you be willing to commit to a non-compete agreement?
Yes.
Great. What sort of advice would you give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you started this business?
Some advice that people have always given me is that this site really needs like a large product or a large sales piece to sell. I have a lot of little things that all add up to making a nice passive income stream. But I think probably my advice is that if the buyer is really motivated, they might want to think about, that one large selling point or one large sponsorship to really make it step up to the next level. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. That's great advice. And then Ashley, you've started other content sites as well. So you're obviously quite passionate about this particular business model. Why do you think that this business model would be a great starting point for those who are interested in starting their own online businesses?
I think starting with an established site that already kind of has a foothold in the niche would be a great way to kind of get your feet wet in an online business without taking a huge risk of, starting something that's never going to be seen. So with this website in particular, the niche is growing. And I think having something established to build on the way that you want to build on it is probably really attractive to especially new website owners. So they have really a good foundation to start with.
Yeah, that's a great point. You sort of eliminate all of those risks that you take starting a business from scratch by buying an established business like this.
Right.
Yeah. So then the last question, and this is the question that most buyers will be interested in hearing. If you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this business is a business worth buying?
Right now, the niche is growing, especially our particular sub-niche because of the huge influx that we saw post-COVID. This site in particular was grown completely organically and can run on its own with very few hours of work and very little overhead, probably even less than I've been spending, I'm sure. I think with this kind of like growing organic traffic, somebody that's really motivated can build on this site, whether they want to stay in the kind of niche down, area that I have been in, or kind of expand into related niches and really grow it, towards the direction that they choose.
Yeah, fantastic. It certainly sounds like a very attractive business. And I hope you generate a lot of interest towards it from buyers. Is there anything else, any other aspects of the business that you'd like to share with the listeners before we finish the interview?
I can't think of anything. This has been great and very thorough.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ashley. It's been really wonderful talking to you.
Nice to speak with you too.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 55948. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.